right, everyone, it's after 12, so we are going to get started now. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar and thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, just a couple quick things. Please take note of the Q&A box on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can submit questions there for Gina, and we will take questions at the very end of the program. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the program over to our registered dietitian, Gina DeLuca, who is going to talk to us today about nutrition and mindful eating. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and welcome everyone. And I want to thank Rachel and Danielle for all of their help in setting this up. It has been a pleasure to work with both of you, and we're excited to go forward today. So welcome everyone to our Mindful Eating Spring Series. Today is part 2, and our question is, when I eat, what shall I think about? So I'd like to give a brief introduction about myself, my team, and why we're here. Okay, so to welcome you, this is a Perlmutter Cancer Center Nutrition Services collaboration. 2 of my colleagues, Lana and Michelle, and I decided to work together on this, and we kicked off this spring series in March because March is National Nutrition Month. We decided to go with an oncology-related focus that's applicable to all phases of oncology care: prevention, treatment, and survivorship. So really focusing in on nutrition, the season, turning over sort of a new leaf in spring. And the Commission on Cancer I noted here because that's what sort of drives us to cover that broad spectrum of prevention, treatment, and survivorship. So looking at all focuses. Okay. So our meaningful purpose, why are we here today? What are we looking to explore? We're exploring the concept of mindful eating. So what I love about this is that it's an open-ended focus. Basically what that means is it's an approach that can be used to meet individual needs within a group setting. So we're all meeting together, but I really want to, kind of work with each of you and say that my goal today is to meet you where you are and to enhance where you're going forward. So this is a shift of focus from solely an informational presentation format to more of an exploratory presentation format. And so just taking a look at this concept of mindfulness, especially in the current time that we're all in, and honing in on mindful eating specifically and how we can just sort of bring more mindful awareness to our moments and to our process of eating daily. Eating is something we do every day and multiple times a day. So how can we, sort of make the most of that? So specifically, we're going to explore the question of when I eat, what shall I think about? So some starting points to think about are, right now, what do you think about when you eat? Our minds can wander to all different places, with that. So kind of really, going within and saying, what am I actually thinking about when I'm eating right now? And do you think that cultivating gratitude and appreciation might be helpful for you? Maybe this is something that you already practice, but maybe, in the hurried rush of moments, kind of taking it back to that and saying, could we, cultivate more gratitude and appreciation for the moment that we're in and the food that's right in front of us? And what might doing this offer to you? And or how might it benefit you? So I love pictures. I'm a very visual learner myself. So I found this picture, and I think it really, brings it back home to the heart of things, peace of mind. We're all looking for peace of mind, again, especially within the current time. So how can, creating this practice sort of bring you, a benefit of peace at this time? So transformation, I think, is important. And I'm just going to try to move because I have a text box. There we go, so I can see that a little bit better. So I wanted to read this quote because the resource that we used as a springboard for inspiration for this event had a great quote in it for my particular topic. So I quoted that specifically because I thought it really sort of brought everything, to the center. So with every meal, every snack, every bite, your mind is learning to focus on the food. Gradually, you gain experience for your food and you receive a sense of the great gifts it brings you. It won't matter if you're at the dining room table or munching on popcorn at the movie theater. You become a master of your own mindfulness, bringing your attention back to the food for each second to reflect on and notice some aspect of it. So, and the aspects, as looking through the presentation materials, the aspects involved that jumped out to me were sensory, community, and spiritual. So I wanted to kind of take a focus on each of those. But I thought this really was a great quote to sort of bring it home and say that we can become that master of our mindfulness. We can empower ourselves to really reflect on, again, that moment where we're in, the heart of things. Okay. And just, I think, Rachel, I'm not able to hear you. I think you might be speaking. And it's a little hard for me to go forward. I'm just having a technical problem with going forward.
Can you use your arrows? Will that work? Or try right-clicking and advancing it that way. See if that works.
Okay.
Yeah, hit next.
Awesome. Great. Okay, thank you. That worked. Yeah, I was lost at the enter and the down arrow, so thank you. That helps a lot.
No
okay,
worries.
Great. Okay. So consideration, so the sensory aspect of food. So this really takes us to a place where we can explore our senses. Taste, juiciness, creaminess, so that sense of taste. The aspect of texture, is it smooth, is it coarse, and that falls within taste. Appearance, colors, patterns, so that really falls within sight and being able to see. Aromas, smell. A mix of flavors, are we able to distinguish within that mix what's what? Do certain notes pop out more than others and speak to us? And of course, any aftertastes, which sometimes can be pleasant, sometimes can be less than pleasant, and how do we then manage that? But just, being present for all of that. I think as well as texture, the sense of hearing, is there a crunch? Is there, sort of noise and movement with that? And I think that kind of covers everything too, along with texture goes the sense of touch. Are we preparing foods and really feeling the preparation aspect of that and how everything feels? So it's really amazing if you look up the sensory aspect of foods, because again, being visual, I wanted something to share with you. And this was like the sensory wheel that came up, and it's amazing. There are sensory wheels for almost every food you could imagine, but this was the one I found to be the most comprehensive. So I really like that because it really covers all of those different, whether it's food groups, types of food, qualities to food, and just really kind of gives, an expansive picture of that. Advance forward, perfect. Okay, so community aspect of food, thinking about what plants or animals contributed to the food, the life cycle of plants and animals, and just the life cycle in general, where the food was produced, what human effort was required to grow, prepare, package, transport, and market the food. So much is available to us at our fingertips every day, but, what effort goes into that, and how can we, sort of cultivate a sense of appreciation for that? And any natural resources needed to grow the food. Many of us are focused on our carbon footprint and how what we eat and what we do matters in the environmental sense. How, can we sort of hone in on that and really, cultivate appreciation for that, and maybe even think of ways to conserve natural resources if it's at all possible, leading into that question of how do our diet patterns affect the earth, for now and for time to come. And then, of course, there's the spiritual aspect of food that really sort of pulls it all together. What benefits the food offers on a physical level, if it's giving us energy, giving us strength, especially in regard to oncology, preventing, oncology-related, cancer-related conditions. But then, if for any reason they do happen and they should happen, how do we go through treatment and get the energy and the strength that we need to keep us as strong as possible to come through that treatment? And then into the phase of survivorship, being able to integrate nutrition and physical activity in a way that strengthens us and helps us to go forward. And how might we receive those gifts, again, with the sense of gratitude and just the sense of, really seeing the whole picture and how that all plays into it. And, the mind-body connection, our mind-body connection is very powerful. So if we're, sort of mentally and spiritually open to the food, it's going to help our body that much more. And how you might honor yourself and others as you put those gifts to use. So, again, if we're limited in a social sense right now, finding ways, alternate ways virtually, maybe that we can commune with others and have meals, especially on holidays and special occasions. And then going forward, just to think of that even greater sense of appreciation that's going to shine forth when we are all able to be together again. So our actions in this, you know, kind of come to close the loop up and say, you know, our take-home points are that we want to focus our attention on our food. That cultivates the sensory aspect. If we can investigate more about the food that we eat, that really kind of hones in on the community aspect. And if we tune into the benefits that the food offers to enhance gratitude and honor, that, you know, kind of captivates the spiritual aspect. So some additional tools that I thought might be helpful, you know, as per the material suggested as well, looking at food labels, looking at ingredients. If we're noticing certain foods are in there, can we pull out the taste? Can we, you know, sense what's in there? And also sort of looking at a way of clean eating to really help bring us back to a whole foods and hopefully a plant-based foods approach as much as possible, because the benefit that's in these foods is just so tremendous. So, you know, how can we kind of look for ways to implement that into our lives on a daily basis, you know, by selecting foods that have maybe simple labels instead of labels that have really extensive things, sometimes with things, words we can't even pronounce. I even have a hard time sometimes with that. So, you know, just learning how to keep it simple. And I also like to always mention the Environmental Protection Agency. They're a great resource because a lot of patients and community members that come to us do often ask about organic eating, and is that really necessary? And I find this to be a wonderful resource because it will offer really distinct information about foods that you may want to eat organic if you eat a lot of them, if you eat them often, and then others that you may not necessarily need to buy organic at that time. But it's, you know, sort of a very up-to-date resource that kind of takes lots of current factors into account and says, you know, what might be suggestions. They have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So those Dirty Dozen are those top 12 foods that you want to try to, you know, if you can, you know, make sure that you're buying organic. And then otherwise, you know, the Clean 15 are the ones that you may not necessarily need to buy organic. So, you know, just kind of, you know, looking at the whole aspect, because they also do offer a lot of information about not only food, but other types of products that you can use along with, you know, whether it's cleaning products and things, to just kind of enhance the whole experience of preparation. So I put the farm to table in because I love that idea of just really, you know, knowing where our food comes from and having a closer sense of the connection to where the food's coming from to further cultivate the gratitude for it. Okay. So maybe we'd like to move into some questions, if there are any particular questions that anyone has. And Rachel, I'll rely on you for that because I can't quite see the chat box right now.
Okay, yep, we have some time for questions. So if anyone has questions, you can write them into the box on the right-hand corner. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to write in. All right, I don't see any coming through right now. Gina, I think that means you did such a great job explaining everything and you were so thorough. So we thank you very much for a great presentation. We really appreciate it. It was great information, very valuable. I know everyone gained something from this. So we thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. And again, thank you for having us. You know, I speak on behalf of my colleagues as well. We've been really, you know, grateful to have this opportunity, and we look forward to future collaboration. Thank you.
Definitely, we do too. Well, thank you for everyone for attending, and have a great weekend. Thanks again, Gina.